Pay off your credit cards. Use cash for purchases and credit wisely. Start with your smallest credit card debt first. Pay it off. Experience the victory of actually paying it off. And then start using the money that you would have paid for that debt on your other credit card debts, creating a snowball effect to pay off your credit debts as soon as possible. 6, practice long-term savings and investment habits. Saving money is the number one wise money management principle that everyone should practice. 10% of our income is a good target, and 10% coupled with 10%, which is a tithe, is eerily reminiscent of the 20% that Joseph had the Egyptians save in the 7 years of plenty. But I also want us to understand that you and I do not merely save for saving's sake. There's a word for that. That's called hoarding. And hoarding is frowned upon in the Bible as the practice of fools and of those who fail to understand the purpose of life, which is living and sharing and loving and being generous and making a difference. Well, these 6 principles combine to make a plan to help you and me become better and more faithful money managers. Just like Joseph had a plan for what to do during the 7 years of plenty in order to have enough to share in the 7 years of famine, so too must we develop our own financial planning. Adam Hamilton also shares this story. He says, a few years ago, I was having lunch with a church member. He was the vice president of a company, well respected and quite successful. He lives in a large house, nice but not too extravagant. He drove nice cars. And on that particular day at lunch, he was excited. He said, I bought a new car this week. I said, really? What'd you buy? He said, I'll show you after lunch. We went out to the parking lot after lunch, and I expected to see a BMW or a Lexus. To my surprise, he pointed over to a 7-year-old Honda Civic. I said, friend, tell me about that car. He said, it is a cream puff. One owner, low miles, always garaged. I paid cash for it, and the insurance and taxes are unbelievably low. And you know, it's even fun to drive. I said, I have to admit, this is kind of a surprise. What's going on? And he said, I just realized that I could do other things with the money that I was spending on a car. Things that were intimately more valuable and important to me. Since my life mission and purpose is taking a new turn, I felt like I could use that money to support that. As he drove off that day, says Adam, do you think I admired him less or more? Well, brothers and sisters, I hope that you've heard the good news from the story of Joseph this morning. In order to experience the joy that comes from faithful living, in order to be a blessing to yourself and to others, you and I have got to do 2 things. We've got to allow ourselves and our resources to be put to God's service. And we've got to make a plan. We've got to develop concrete steps on how to use our resources to get to where God wants us to be. And I can't promise that process will always be easy, nor can I promise that it will always be fun. But I can leave with you the witness of how it all ended for one person named Joseph. The 7 years of plenty that prevailed in the land of Egypt came to an end, and 7 years of famine began to come, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in every country, but throughout the land of Egypt, there was bread. Armed with a holy purpose and a plan, and the good Lord willing, our stories may end like Joseph's too. Thanks be to God.